Hey guys, welcome back to SudokuManiacs. I know, summer is setting in. Had to get rid of that hair. It was too sweaty and irritating. Anyway, coming back to this Sudoku that we have for you today. Now, I had shared this multi-diagonal Sudoku on our social media page with you all, and I told you that the rules of classic Sudoku apply, and additionally, digits do not repeat on any of the marked diagonal. Now, quite a few of you might find this new, and people who are frequent at competitions will realize that this is very similar to another Sudoku, which is known as Iso Sudoku, and also some people call it Hex Sudoku. Now, let's have a look at that. Some of you might have already seen these. You have these hexadiagonal honeycomb pattern with a slightly twisted. You will notice that there are 9 rows, 9 columns, or rather slanted columns, and regions which have 9 honeycombs in it, right? So the rules of Iso Sudoku are that digits will not repeat in any row, column, or a box, and in all the diagonal honeycombs from top left to bottom right, digits do not repeat, right? This is an Iso Sudoku, or some also call it hex, because of the hexagonal shaped cells that are there. Now, normally in a competition, when I am told that there is going to be an ISO or a hex Sudoku, I find it difficult to focus in these hexagonal patterns. So what I do is I create a 9 by 9 classic grid, and I draw the diagonals. So if I were to straighten that honeycomb Sudoku, it would appear like this. And I simply transfer the digits from the ISO Sudoku onto this blank grid of mine, solve it and feed in the answer, which I find much easier and faster compared to deciphering how the diagonal lines are flowing on that hexagonal honeycomb pattern. So I thought I'll just share that information with you all as well, because all for those who are aware of ISO Sudoku would obviously know this trick, but for those people for whom this is a new variant, I thought I'll share this. On my blog, which is rishipuri.blogspot.com, there is an ISO Sudoku, which you can also download and practice if you want. I'll add the link for the description, or rather in the description of the video, I'll add the link to the blog where you can download the ISO Sudoku. And also, if you wish to try out this multi-diagonal Sudoku as is, I have created an online solving interface for this. I will add that link also in the description of the video. So for those who want to try, can definitely go ahead and try. All right. So now let's have a look at how we approach this. So the first thing, like I always say, start a variant like a classic. I see I have a 5 here, I have a 5 here. 5 has to be in these two cells, right? But I can't have a 5 because the 5 is already there on the diagonal line in row 8, column 7. So this can never be a 5, which makes this a 5. So that's a 5 and a 5. 5 can be either here or here. But again, here it is eliminated because of this 5, which is on the same diagonal, right? We get a 5. So 5, 5 has to be in these two, which makes this a 5 because we already got the 5 in row 6. So that helps us wrap all the 5s. Good enough. Now, one more thing that we need to remember here is that though the diagonal lines are of different lengths, the central main diagonal line is of 9 cells, which means I will need all the 1 to 9 digits to fall on this. So using the concepts of a diagonal Sudoku, I know that 6 cannot be in box 1 on the main diagonal, neither can it be on box 9 in box 9 rather, sorry, on the main diagonal, which means on the main diagonal 6 has to be in box 5. I can't have a 6 here, so this is my 6. 6, 6, 6 has to be in these two, but row 6 column 7 shares the diagonal with row 8 column 9. So obviously this cannot be a 6, this becomes my 6, right? So you see how we use the constraint of those diagonal lines where the digits cannot repeat and help, which helps us in eliminating possibilities. 8 cannot be here or here or here because of the 8s in the rows and column. And row 3 column 7 shares the diagonal with row 5 column 9. So 8 cannot be here as well, which makes this an 8. 8, 8 has to be in these two cells. You got it right. This 8 is on the same diagonal, so obviously this has to be an 8. So now that gives us the place for 6, 6. This cannot be a 6. So this is a 6 and this is a final 6. So we have managed to wrap up all the 6s as well. What next? 3, 3 for my classic rule. This is a 3. Right? Now, where do we go from here? Oh yes, just like we did for the 6s on the main diagonal. I know 8 cannot be in box 1 for the main diagonal. It cannot be in box 5 because there's only one place left on the main diagonal and we already have an 8 in row 5. Which means 8 has to be on the main diagonal in box 9, one of these three cells. But these two are eliminated because we already have an 8 in column 8s and 9. So this has to be an 8, which means 9 cannot be here. The 9 gets eliminated from here as well, which makes this a 9 and this becomes your 9. 7 cannot be here, shares the diagonal with this, so there's only one place for the 7 and by classic rules this becomes my 7. Clear? So let's add the pencil marks of 2, 4. So this 2, 4 will be placed here, which means this is a pencil mark of 9. The reason is in box 8 there is no other place where the 2 and 4 can go, right? We already have 5 digits available. And since it cannot repeat on that row, it will have to be placed here. And this would be 2, 4, 2, 4. Now comes the tricky part. We discussed, right, the main diagonal. I am harping on that point because the main diagonal plays a very important role. You treat it like a diagonal Sudoku where you have to fit in the digits 1 to 9. Now the missing numbers are on the main diagonal, that is 1, 3, 7 and 9. Now 1 and 3 cannot be here, so this has to be either 7 or a 9. But when I look at this 7 here, for box 1 it cannot be in these two cells, and because of this it cannot be here, which means the 7 for box 1 is logged in these two cells. And since the digits cannot repeat, this becomes my 9, which means these three cells on the main diagonal, the missing numbers 1, 3 and 7. So that's a 1, 7, that's a 1, 3 and this is a 1, 3, 7. Having said that, now only missing two digits are 4 and 9. We have a 9 here, which makes this a 4, this a 9, and by classic rules 9, 9, this becomes a 9. So that's my pair of 1, 3, and with the 4 here, this becomes a 2 with a 4. Classic rules, 4 cannot be here, 4 cannot be here. So you see how the diagonals help us eliminate the possibilities. Similarly, 2 has to be in these two cells, but this cannot be a 2, the same diagonal, so this has to be a 2. And 2 cannot be here, it cannot be here. So these are the two places that are available for 2. But again, we have the 2 in R1C5, which is on this diagonal, right? So that again cannot be a 2. This becomes, sorry, this is a 2, which makes this a 4, 2, and a 4, right? Classic rules 2 and a 2. So this cannot be a 2. That's a 2, 2, 2, 2. Missing numbers in box 8, 1 and 8. We have an 8. So that's an 8 and a 1. Classic rules 8, 8. This cannot be an 8. That's an 8. And next, classic rules 8, 8. 8 cannot be here because of this. So these are the two places. But row 4, column 1 is on the diagonal, which already has an 8. So this has to be an 8, which makes this a 1 and an 8. And with the 1 here, this is obviously a 3 and a 1. Now missing two digits in row 5 are 3 and 7. But we already have a 7 in column 6. So this has to be a 3 with a 7. And the last digit 4 for column 6. So that gives us a pair of 3 and 4 here. 7 cannot be here, so that's my 7. Missing digits are 1 and 3, but we have a 3 logged in box 3 of row 1, right? So that's a 1 and a 3, which makes this a 7 and a 1. 7, 7 has to be in these two. Correct? You got it right. This 7 eliminates the 7 from row 4, column 7. So this is my 7 with the final 7 here. And the last digit in column 2 has to be L. Okay, that's a 9, 9, and the final 9. So again, I have a pair of 3 and 4. Fine. This is 1, 4, and this is 1, 3. Now, normally in a classic Sudoku, this kind of possibilities would result in a dual solution. But we know this is a valid puzzle. So somewhere there will be a diagonal which will be playing a role in eliminating the digits. Now when I look at the 1 in row 7, column 8, it's already there on this diagonal. So obviously, this cannot be a 1. That becomes my 4 and a 1. So that's a 3 and a 1, which makes this a 3, 4, 4, and a 3. Well, that's how this was supposed to be solved. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I really hope that the comparison with the ISO or the hex Sudoku is an eye-opener for the people who have not seen this kind of a puzzle before. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section. And yes, if you have not subscribed to the channel, I suggest you do this. And also, our Facebook social media page is mentioned in the description. I would suggest you follow us there because every day I share a Sudoku, a tricky Sudoku, something. It could be a new variant or it could be a classic which is not so straightforward to solve. So do keep following us there. Try those puzzles out because I usually create videos on the puzzles which I post on our social media. So do go ahead, follow us there as well. Thank you once again for helping us cross the 500 mark on Facebook. Keep the love flowing in. Until the next time, happy solving.